Welcome, myself Nurul Abidin. Today in the lecture, we are going to cover the various advantages of digital signal processing, the various signals that are important in DSP, that is continuous time signal, discrete signal, and how it is converted into digital signal. And also we'll be studying about linear time invariant system and also the applications of DSP. So from the last video, as you are aware of the DSP block diagram, which consists of a digital system and around which you have a ADC and DAC. So basically in the subject, as the name itself says, digital signal processing, we are going to process digital signals. Means this particular part is important to us. So here first we need to convert the analog signal into discrete signal, and again this discrete signal is converted into digital signal, and how we'll convert that is nothing but the study or the major part of the study in the subject. Now the various advantages of digital signal processing are, here it is very much reliable, less expensive, and it is programmable, and it can be easily upgraded. The speed of this digital systems is very much high, and you can achieve higher precision also, and the data can be permanently stored also in DSP processors. So these are the advantages of digital signal processing. Now we'll study about signal. A signal is a physical quantity that carries information. The information can be music, photo, video, etc. Okay, so any physical quantity that carries information is a signal. So basically, as in the previous lecture also I have stated you that there are two types of signals. One is analog and other one is digital. So analog signal is nothing but a continuous signal. So what is a continuous signal? A continuous signal, if you consider any value for an independent variable, it is continuous. If you take any variable a which has certain values, it is continuous over the time. It is called a continuous signal. We should remember that this continuous signal is represented by x of t. Now coming to discrete signal. Now as you already know, analog signal, and now what you know, which is a continuous signal, is a general signal that is available to us in nature. The next signal what we are going to have is discrete signal. So whatever the signals what you are getting are coming from analog signals only, which we are converting them to discrete and then into digital form. So this discrete signal is nothing but when a signal is defined for discrete intervals of an independent variable, then it is called as a discrete signal. This discrete signal, when it is quantized, that is when it is converted into a binary form, then it becomes digital. So first you have an analog signal. This analog signal is converted into discrete signal with respect to time, and again it is converted into digital. So basically we will be working on discrete signals only. Means basically we will be taking all the analog signals and we will be converting them into discrete signals. So all the study what we will be carrying out will be conversion of, that is converting into discrete signals, because whatever the result you obtain of the discrete signal can be easily converted into digital form by quantization. That is nothing but we will be writing the binary code of it. Okay, so here major thing what we need to understand is that we need to understand the importance of discrete signal. So whatever analysis we'll be doing to get discrete signals, because this discrete signal can be easily converted into digital signals at the required time by quantization. Quantization means converting that into binary form. Now here you have one quantization phenomena that you can see in the last point. The possible range of values of discrete time signals are usually divided into 2 power m steps called as quantization levels. So this is a point of quantization levels. Yeah, so this example you can clearly understand that the first figure shows a continuous time signal, which is our analog signal. The second part, we are converting this part into discrete part. So first part and the second part, both of them are analogous only. The third part, we are getting converted into intervals of time, discrete intervals of time. So this is our discrete time signal. So don't get confused whenever you study here the word discrete. Discrete is nothing but the first form of digital only, because if you are obtaining discrete is nothing but nearer almost equal to digital, because that can again be converted easily into digital by making it into binary. So here the important is to get discrete signal from analog signal, and you should also remember that this analog signal is represented by x of t, discrete signal by x of n. Yeah, so now you understood the importance of discrete signal. Why? Because if you see the block diagram, I told you we are related to digital system only. So digital system requires digital input and we'll get digital output. So if you take discrete signal, we can convert into digital, then we can process it and get a digital output. So to obtain this digital, we need to have discrete signal. That's why the importance is discrete signal. All the analysis will be done to obtain discrete signal only. Yeah, so a system which can process discrete time signal, and so the input and the output of the discrete system are discrete time signals. Okay, and why we are every time specifying it time? Because if I take one variable x has n number of samples, 0.1, 0.3, 0.4, 0.10, so on. So these all samples are with respect to certain period of time, because every signal has certain intervals of time, that much time for that much signal. That's why we specify time. Now a discrete time system is represented by h. Here you can see our input signal, which is our discrete signal, as we have already studied in the previous slide, and here the output we are getting is y of n. Now the output the response what we called is y of n is equals to h of x of n. Now here the h is denoted as the system operation, also called as the system operator. Now when the discrete time system is following the property of linearity and time invariance, then it is called as linear time invariant system. Means it should be linear. This is the input output relation of the linear time invariant discrete time, which is represented by a constant coefficients difference equation, where n is the order. So now these are the various discrete signals that are available, which is digital impulse signal, which we also called this as unit sample sequence. Second one is the unit step signal. Third one is the ramp signal. Fourth one is the exponential signal. Fifth one is discrete time sinusoidal signal. Sixth one is discrete time complex exponential signal. So these are the various discrete signals that are available to us, are various forms of discrete signals. From our subject point of view, the analysis of discrete time signal is very much important to us, because whatever the signals what we are having are all analog, we are converting them into discrete. Okay, now how do you convert this into discrete? Okay, and you already know that all the signals are with respect to time. So when we want to convert this analog into discrete with respect to time, the complexity increases and the mathematical computation also increases when we are doing in time domain. This is the reason to obtain discrete signal we do the analysis in Z domain, because complexity is less, mathematical computation is also less when compared to time domain analysis. So that's the reason we move into Z domain, and in Z domain there are various number of transformations which are available so that we can do the computation. And a question should arise that when we are doing the analysis in Z domain but the signal should be with respect to time, then what is the use of it? First thing is that why we are using Z domain is because of to avoid complexity and to reduce mathematical computations. That is to reduce it, means number of mathematics should be less. So in Z domain you have a transfer function, that is nothing but the ratio of output to input. This is called transfer function. When you take this inverse, it becomes impulse response. This inversion is nothing but again conversion into time domain. So all the analysis can be easily done in Z domain, and later when it is required with respect to time, we just make inverse of it. Then we get our required answer in time domain. So here the complexity is also reduced, computation steps are also reduced, and when required, when we inverse that answer, it becomes into time domain, which is our required discrete time signal. Now if you want again that to convert into digital form, we'll make that into by using quantization, we'll make that into a digital signal. That is, we'll write the binary code of the values. Yeah. So now you have understand how the analysis are being carried out by using Z transformations. So here we will be using Fourier transformations to obtain discrete time signals. So here we will be implementing discrete Fourier transformation technique, which is abbreviated as DFT, and inverse of it also, that is inverse discrete Fourier transformation. And if you want this task to be done very much fastly, we will be implementing FFT algorithms, which will be using radix butterfly diagram, where you will be having radix 2 algorithm, where you will be studying about DIF FFT, DIT FFT, and this particular concepts, that is DFT, IDFT, are all nothing but conversion into discrete time signals. If you want this discrete time signals using DFT to be converted into faster way, we'll be using Fourier transformation. So Fourier transformation will be implementing a radix algorithm, and in that you will be having DIT FFT, DIF FFT. So this DFT, IDFT, FFT with respect to DIT FFT, DIF FFT, these are all problematical approach problems and very much important with respect to examination and marks point of view. So this analysis is very much important, not only understanding also how the signal is being converted into discrete and how it is being used in realistic basis, as well as from your subject point of view from getting marks also I have explained. What are the applications? So where it is used in various fields such as biomedical, speech processing, audio video communication, power electronics, image processing, geology, astronomy. So in biomedical, if you see ECG, EEG, EMG, X-ray, MRI, ultrasonic scanning, and in speech also for compression and decompression to reduce memory requirement of storage systems, and various other things are there. And in audio video for music synthesis and composing music keyboards, and in communication also we are using for generation and detection of DTMF signals in telephones. Similarly other application also stated as also you can go through, and also in power electronics, image processing, geology, astronomy also. Thank you. If you have any queries or any comments or any doubts regarding this lecture or in of this subject, you can feel free to comment me so that I can answer you in the appropriate best possible manner. Thank you.